Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. We're now into week 2 of Action Master Month, and since we looked at the Autobot communicator last week, we're going to take a look at his Decepticon equivalent, Soundwave. Of course, this version of Soundwave came out in 1990 like all the other Action Masters, and he would only be available for that year. Soundwave, instead of coming with a backpack, includes a sidekick in the form of Wing Thing. So since he doesn't have the backpack, we can take a better look at Soundwave up close. And of course, Soundwave does take a lot more of his cues from his cartoon counterpart. The only thing he's really lacking, like from the original toy, is the shoulder-mounted rocket launcher. At any rate, let's look at his articulation, which would be the standard for an Action Master. You can turn his head from left to right. He can swivel his arm at the shoulder all the way around. There's a metal bar here at his hip, so it allows you to move his legs up at the hip about 90 degrees, and you can bend his legs at the knee about 90 degrees. His partner Wing Thing, however, his articulation is limited to his wings. You can fold his wings backward or keep them out in front, so they only move about 45 degrees. But since Wing Thing is the primary use for transforming, we'll go ahead and transform him. First off, we'll show you his attack mode. So as we steal the gun from Soundwave. Gimme. Soundwave's gun can be connected to a hole here on the side of Wing Thing. He has one on both sides, so it really doesn't matter where you want to plug it in at, but you can stick it in there, and then Wing Thing is now in attack mode. But to turn Wing Thing into a weapon, we start by folding his wings all the way to the back. Then we'll push down on his tail. We'll push up on his tail. And down or up somewhere. Push his tail down, and then it'll flip the cannon out like so. And then you simply attach the gun to the end of the barrel. And then here he is in his alternate mode. He is a concussion cannon, which, like Blaster, is an homage to Soundwave's original gun. And of course, the instructions say that we should connect it to the black post here. The trick is since it's on a piece that moves a lot, you'll want to reach in here with a finger and hold that piece steady so that you can insert Soundwave's hand into the gun. And there we go, Soundwave's holding it. It still looks like a gun with bat wings. And of course, with Wing Thing's feet still being pretty visible, there really isn't much that can save how stupid this gun looks. Of course, how well does it hold up? Well, Soundwave seems to be a little more tipsy towards the side that is holding the gun by that way. So, more or less, Soundwave should, for display purposes, unless you have a spot to mount him, he should probably keep the gun pointed down so he stays upright. Kinda silly looking. Now let's take a look at Soundwave's loose parts. We'll start, of course, with his gun. The card contents call this a photon negator. which kind of looks interesting. I like this extra bit down here underneath. They really don't go into any details as to what it could be, but if you're a weapons enthusiast, you can certainly come up with a lot of different options. Could be a flashlight, could be a laser sight for targeting, or if you're a fan of the M41A pulse rifle from Aliens, it's an underbarreled grenade launcher. That might be a stretch, but I like it. It sounds interesting. Then, of course, you got Wing Thing here by himself. As you've noticed, his wings are removable. So this is Wing Thing without the wings. Of course, with his wings on, he's obviously supposed to be a bat. Although I don't think Batman would be willing to have something like this hanging around with him. But then again, he did put up with the bat mite, so I guess anything's possible. Then we come to the hardest pieces to find on Soundwave. Wing Thing's wings. Now, of course, the wings have a different design on the back side. This is the front side, where you got a couple of deep notches, and you got something that could be a little speaker here at the top. On the back side, you just got outlines for the notches, and that's it. So when you're looking to buy a loose wing thing, you really need to check the wings very carefully. Because if he does not have the wings, or the wings are not correct, somebody is scamming you, folks. I'll show you here on the backside of this one. That way you can see that. So please do check any loose wing things if you are intending to buy this toy for your collection. Moving right along now, let's take a look at Soundwave's card backer. Got a rather decent picture of Soundwave here. And of course, the way he's holding the gun kind of helps reinforce that that might actually be something special. That little extra piece might be something special. And of course, down here it proves that Wing Thing is a bat. And again, just like on Blaster, weapons do not shoot. They want to emphasize that to us. On the back side here, we have his power plans. Makes sense that he has an anti-Autobot jamming device up there in his head. But would somebody explain why the play button on his controls is the neutronic speed modulator? Shouldn't that more be the fast forward button? At any rate, let's take a look at the instructions. Shows all that he came with. They just count Wing Thing as a solid unit. And of course, how to attach the gun. Then we go into how to build Wing Thing into a concussion cannon. And we come down here to the barcode and the robot points. Soundwave was worth 1.5 points. Then we get down here to his tech spec. It's all done in purple to show he's a Decepticon, even lists Decepticon up there. And of course the picture matches the one on the front of the package. It gives his name as Soundwave, and his function is communications. His motto is, "Cries and screams are music to my ears." A smooth-talking opportunist who uses his eavesdropping abilities on friends and foes alike. Equipped with advanced radio wave and energy sensors, photographic memory, and newly improved 2,000-mile range transmission capability. Wing Thing, his loyal, lethal cohort, is all too eager to carry out Soundwave's every vengeful whim and diabolical scheme. Upon command, Wing Thing turns into a metal-piercing concussion cannon. it's difficult to say which one is more despised by the other Decepticons. This plays out more that, like the original tech spec, Soundwave was not trusted by his fellow Decepticons, save for Megatron, because Soundwave was always spying on them. So, it's nice to see that they carry that over, but I'd like to know what became of all the little guys that were hanging out inside his chest cavity. Are they still in there, or did they become other robots? At any rate, let's look over here at his stats. It shows that his strength is 8, his intelligence is 9, his speed is 2, his endurance is 6, his rank is 8, his courage is 5, his firepower is 6, and his skill is 9, so he's slightly less average, slightly less above average than what Blaster was. And in a lot of ways, I think that's more realistic to a degree. At any rate, now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Soundwave? The Action Master version of Soundwave, like Blaster from last week, it's a middle tier toy. And again, partially for the same reasons. Soundwave was first available in 1984 when the toy line started. Soundwave would have been discontinued out by 1987. I think he might have actually left in 1986. There's conflicting reports as to when he was fully phased out of the toy line. But around that time, he was taken off the market. And unless you were in Japan, where you could get his upgraded toy of Sound Blaster, we never got another Soundwave, and there was 2 sets of cassette guys released after Soundwave was phased out. So, even more importantly, it was great to get another Soundwave brought back into the toy line. I mean, granted, yes, he wasn't the larger size toy that could hold cassette guys inside of him, but this is still a nice rendition of the character. It hits all the marks that it needs. With a little imagination, you could have the little cassette guys bounding out of him. I mean, let's face it, how many of us saw Bumblebee? How many of us had seen the trailers for Bumblebee that showed off Soundwave releasing Ravage to attack Optimus? That's what we wanted out of a Transformers movie. Thank God Michael Bay is no longer directing them. But anyway, back to this toy. This toy is a nice one to have around for that reason. I like the fact that the tech spec bio keeps some of the stuff that was important about Soundwave's character in there. It doesn't totally change who he is or what he is. Wing Thing, he's not bad of an accessory, but as you can tell, he's also not the greatest. He looks kind of stupid, but it might also explain to some of you why some later versions of Wing Thing are remolds of Rat-Bat. So maybe Wing Thing is just an evolved form of Rat-Bat or something. Anyway, however you want to look at it. But also, another reason why I'm willing to give Soundwave a middle tier is I do like the stats better on his tech spec than what I did with Blaster. All the Blasters were pretty high. That made him seem like he was some sort of superhero or something. And in a lot of ways, that's really not feasible. Soundwaves are a little more realistic. I think his courage stat is a little bit low, but part of that could also be influenced by the fact that he does have a sentient partner with him, and Wing Thing may not be as brave as Soundwave is. He's eager to carry things out, carry out whatever Soundwave wants, but Soundwave at least has some standing, and as he is buddies with Megatron, Megatron can protect him. That doesn't necessarily mean that Wing Thing gets that same treatment. So, I think that it's a little bit more realistic, and that's why I'm willing to be somewhat reasonable on how I review Soundwave here. I mean, granted, yes, I do miss some of the other touches from the larger toy, like the opening door on his chest or the rocket launcher on his shoulder, but this is a fair compromise. With a little imagination, this toy could go a long way. So, definitely middle tier, folks. And that concludes my review of the Action Master version of Soundwave. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below and join up within our ranks. Don't forget to also ring the notification bell so you'll be alerted to new videos as they are posted. Please also share your thoughts about Soundwave, either the original or the Action Master, in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.